Paul Teutul Sr. listed a desktop computer worth $25 in his bankruptcy filing, along with 3 dogs, a handful of old pistols, and 3 vehicles heading toward auction. The man who built 6-figure custom motorcycles on national reality television, whose screaming matches with his son made Discovery Channel one of the most watched networks in cable history, had almost nothing left when the paperwork hit the court records. That filing told the real story of Orange County choppers, the one no camera stayed on long enough to catch. The bankruptcy documents from February 2018 showed a man earning $15,700 a month and spending $12,612, which left roughly $2,400 to service a debt load exceeding $1 million. His total assets came to $1.8 million against $1.07 million in liabilities. And while that sounds survivable on paper, the monthly breakdown made it impossible. The Montgomery Mansion viewers watched him build on television was heading toward foreclosure. The town of Crawford had been waiting on $51,000 in back taxes. Maine's paper and food service held a claim of nearly $38,000, and credit card companies held $66,000 across 8 separate lawsuits. The personal property section read like a garage sale, with a 2009 Corvette, a 2010 Challenger, and a 2011 Camaro sitting next to $500 worth of basic furnishings, no jewelry, no art, and no collection of valuable motorcycles anywhere in the filing. The mansion he tried listing at $249 million sold in 2019 for $1.5 million, tools and farm animals included, and every cent of that sale went somewhere creditors were already waiting. None of it surprised the people who'd watched from close enough to see the business behind the television show. In 2017, investor Thomas Derbyshire filed a lawsuit that pulled back the curtain on how Orange County choppers actually operated. Derbyshire had committed $3 million to launch a new production featuring Teutul Sr. alongside Rusty Coons from the Sons of Anarchy franchise, and what he received back for that investment was a collection of fraud allegations his lawyers put on record in detail. Teutul Sr. had delayed an entire week of production to go fishing. He refused to collaborate with contracted professionals who'd already been paid. He routed production budget money to cover his son Michael's salary without authorization, made side deals trading dog food for his girlfriend's animal rescue operation, and grabbed free equipment for the shop off the books. Teutul Sr.'s legal team denied everything, and the lawsuit ran its course through the courts. But those fraud allegations stayed in the public record and added weight to a pattern that was becoming harder to dismiss with each new filing. JTM Motorsports was holding Teutul Sr.'s 2009 Corvette ZR1 over $17,000 in unpaid work that same period, and a federal judge eventually found him in contempt of court for refusing to pay. Court-mandated mediation in July 2018 ended with security escorting him out after witnesses described him lunging across the table at opposing counsel, with 3 court officers arriving to remove him from the building. His representatives disputed the security involvement, but multiple sources confirmed the officers were present. Reports also surfaced connecting him to an OC Roadhouse project in Florida that allegedly left Central American investors between $12 and $15 million short. Though no formal charges followed, the pattern held the same shape every time. Money arrived, promises were made, money disappeared, and investors absorbed the loss. By March 2020, Teutul Sr. packed up the original New York shop and relocated to Clearwater, Florida, framing the OC Museum and Roadhouse launch as a fresh start while the people he'd left behind were still waiting on court judgments. Paul Jr.'s path to financial collapse ran through different terrain, but arrived at the same destination. When Teutul Sr. fired his son on television in 2008, he activated a buyout clause covering Jr.'s 20% ownership stake in the motorcycle customization business, and the appraiser commissioned to establish fair value came back with a number that became notorious for the wrong reasons. $0. Not a low figure, not a contested valuation, but nothing at all. Jr. won his appeal in December 2010, with judges ruling the buyout unenforceable and restoring his stake. But the business had already transformed into a battlefield where every decision moved through lawyers before it reached anyone else. Jr. launched Paul Jr. Designs in 2009 out of Ship Bottom, New Jersey, and for a period it looked like a real escape. Microsoft brought work his way. Cadillac and Mercedes-Benz sent projects. The custom design operation attracted serious clients, and his name still carried weight from the television years. None of that held when the broader motorcycle customization market collapsed following the 2008 financial crisis. And by March 2018, the same month his father filed for bankruptcy, Junior submitted his own paperwork. His estimated net worth today sits around $2 million, rebuilt through continued bike building, competition judging, a published book, and a partnership with Rough Cycles in Germany on an electric motorcycle retailing at $7,195. The family member who never appeared on camera absorbed the steepest individual financial penalty of anyone connected to the brand. Daniel Teutul had been running OC Ironworks since Paul Sr. handed the steel fabrication business over in 2004, and in 2007, bankruptcy trustee Tom Geneva filed a complaint accusing Daniel and his family of moving the company's most valuable assets, including machinery, workers, and customer accounts, into a new entity called Orange County Ironworks LLC without paying fair value. The original company folded into bankruptcy, and creditors received nothing. When the case settled in December 2008, Daniel faced a $500,000 penalty. Paul Sr. and Jr. each owed $50,000. With the average American annual salary sitting around $40,000 at the time, Daniel's fine represented more than a decade of typical earnings compressed into a single court judgment. He didn't file for bankruptcy. He went back to work, rebuilt OC Ironworks from the ground up, launched a second company called Gabriel Steel, and by 2024 had grown his workforce from 35 employees to 69. What rarely gets mentioned is that the iconic OCC headquarters viewers saw every episode. The building that became synonymous with the American Chopper brand was Daniel's construction project. He designed it, fabricated the steel, and managed the build from start to finish. No credit came his way, no camera time, and that distance from the spotlight turned out to be the thing that let him survive when everyone closer to the television side got pulled under. Rick Petco spent 13 years driving 90 minutes each way from Pennsylvania to New York, earning $13,000 on top of his regular salary every time he appeared on screen. And by 2016, that had added up to a net worth of $1.75 million. After marrying in 2012, he started calculating what the commute and the constant production drama were actually costing him. And in 2016, he walked away, took a job minutes from home at Pocono Mountain Harley-Davidson in Stroudsburg, and eventually built RPD and Company from his farmhouse, making custom knives and wedding bands on his own schedule. Vinny DiMartino walked out in August 2007 after 5 years building bikes, and Paul Sr.'s response was to look directly at the camera and say everyone's replaceable. Vinny launched V-Force Customs with Cody Connolly in Rock Tavern, New York, but the 2008 financial crisis gutted the custom motorcycle industry before the shop found stable ground, and by late 2013 the buyers were gone. Equipment sold off piece by piece, leading him to open DM Martino Motorsports in Montgomery, handling everyday car and truck repairs, with an estimated net worth today of around $1 million. Cody Connolly had been at OCC since he was 14 years old and left in October 2007 at 20, just 2 months after Vinny. Paul Sr. had paid for him to attend the American Motorcycle Institute, but Cody left filing a lawsuit claiming OCC used his face on merchandise without compensation. The most specific allegation involved the moment Paul Sr. handed him the keys to a custom chopper on camera and said the motorcycle was his. Cody claimed he never received that bike. The gesture was pure theater. He asked for $250,000, the case settled in 2011, and Cody exited the motorcycle world entirely to run Revel Ranch Excavation in Pine Bush, where he has a family and barely posts online. Mikey Teutul never built motorcycles or managed operations. He answered phones, smoothed over the worst blow-ups between his father and brother, and fought a serious alcohol addiction that eventually cost him his position at OCC when Paul Sr. kicked him out entirely. He went to rehab, got sober, and later returned as assistant general manager when the finances demanded it. A house he'd bought from his mother Paula for $550,000 in 2004 sold 5 years later for $460,000, a $90,000 loss that helped push his net worth from $2 million down to $1 million. He eventually founded Fark Products LLC, selling homemade pasta sauces, and opened an art gallery in Montgomery. Jason Pohl joined as senior designer in 2004 and spent years absorbing public criticism. most painfully when Paul Sr. called one of his builds a cake decorator on camera in front of the entire crew during the Senior vs. Junior series. A 2011 build-off entry, a tank-style motorcycle with flamethrowers, attracted widespread mockery across the internet. Paul left officially in March 2020, relocated to Florida in 2021, and rebuilt steadily as a SolidWorks brand ambassador with an estimated net worth of around $700,000. Nick Hansford worked at OCC from 2002 to 2019. Christian Welter put in 14 years from 2002 to 2016. Neither appeared in bankruptcy filings or fraud allegations. Both came through without headlines, and that turned out to be the quietest and most effective exit strategy anyone at that company ever executed. The headquarters carried the fatal flaw of the entire business model in every square foot. Building that structure cost around $13 million, and it was never designed to operate efficiently as a manufacturing facility. It was a showroom, museum, restaurant, and arcade built around what looked compelling on television, with every square foot requiring money to maintain, regardless of whether Discovery Channel revenue was coming in. In 2011, the town of Newburgh settled a lawsuit claiming OCC had failed to meet an $18,000 obligation under a tax break agreement, and that same year, OCC surrendered the building entirely to avoid foreclosure. By March 2016, Diamond Properties bought the property for $2.3 million, less than 18% of what it cost to construct. A 2015 lawsuit from a bankruptcy trustee alleged Teutul Sr. transferred $1.4 million out of a subsidiary after filing for bankruptcy in 2013. The company had scaled up, assuming television revenue would hold steady, and when it didn't, the cost structure built for boom years became impossible to carry without dismantling everything it had taken years to build. By 2025, Paul Teutul Sr. was 76 and still posting videos from the OC Museum and Roadhouse in Clearwater, Florida, gripping handlebars and acting like the old days never ended. Paul Jr. builds bikes, judges competitions, hosts a podcast, and has rebuilt quietly into something sustainable. Daniel runs a growing steel fabrication operation in New York that keeps expanding. Rick makes knives at a farmhouse in Pennsylvania. Vinny fixes trucks in Montgomery. Cody runs excavation equipment in Pine Bush. The reality television format that made them all recognizable rewarded conflict and spectacle, while the actual business bled out through tax debt, investor lawsuits, foreclosure proceedings, and a cost structure that only worked while cameras were rolling. The people who left early enough built something else on their own terms. The people who stayed absorbed everything the collapse had to distribute. And the man with the $25 desktop computer is still in Florida, still posting, still acting like none of the paperwork ever happened.